Hello, and welcome to my video where I show you how to calculate how much to save for income tax. So in my accounting career, I found that could be a real challenge for businesses to know how much to put away for income tax. And what I would see quite often is a business owner. I actually designed this for real estate agents because their income is intermittent. So they get a big check, then maybe they get nothing, then a couple of big checks. But whether it was a business owner or a realtor, what would happen is their first good year, they would come into tax time and get hit with their first big tax bill. Maybe that was in their first year, or maybe it was a few years in. And they might get caught short. So that not having to put money away, they hadn't put money away, got a big tax bill, didn't have the cash to pay it. Then what happens is it becomes a cycle. It takes a full year for the business to pay off that tax bill just to be hit with next year's tax bill. And they never break that cycle and get ahead. This formula that I'm going to show you, which is really quick and easy, is going to allow you to put money away for taxes, and it scales really nicely. So if you make more money, you put more away. If you make less money, you put less away. So let me share that with you. Oh, I'm just going to hide this and then switch to the next screen. So the simple calculations that I'm going to show you today will not only help you put money away for taxes, but they'll also help you to put money aside for expenses. So it helps you separate, as a sole proprietor, how much money you need for taxes, how much is for expenses, and then most importantly, how much is yours, how much is left over after that. You know, I'm just going to move myself over here. Oh, there we go. This is particularly useful if you're a sole proprietor, you're a new business, a real estate agent, self-employed commission salesperson, seasonal business, or you're in another category, but you're struggling with paying your taxes or wondering how much to put away. So as a business owner, how would you like to know right on the top of your head, without even thinking about it or diving into the books, how much of every sales dollar is needed for expenses, how much of every sales dollar is needed to pay your income tax, and then how much is left over for you to spend? And when I say spend, I'm going to put that in quotations. It's like saying how much is left over to pay yourself, to put into your pension plan, your cash buffer to reinvest into the business. You know, how big is that pot? So I'm going to show you a simple formula that will give you those three numbers. Sound good? Good. Over here. All you need are three numbers off your tax return. So it's really timely. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, but it's April right now. It's tax filing season. So you've either done your taxes or you're about to do them. And then you're going to have the three numbers that we need. So off your tax return, you need your gross income, your net income, and your total tax payable. But don't worry, I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm going to show you exactly where to find those. So I'm just going to slip over here to the T1 General. So this is the Canadian tax return. Move myself over here. Depending on how much information you received from your accountant, the page numbers may be different. But what you're going to do is, starting with the first page, your identification section, moving through to this page, which is page 3 on the form, which shows my income. And I want to just move down to this section here that says self-employment income. I'm looking for the line that says business income. And I want to write down the number that's in this box, gross, and this number here, which is net. Okay. So my gross being 13499 and my net being on line 13500. I want those two numbers. Then for total tax payable, I'm going to scroll down to the end of the T1 General, which in this example is page 8, but yours may be on a different page. The section you're looking for is going to say refund or balance owing at the top. So this is the page that would show what you owe or what your refund will be. I'm not interested in those numbers. I want you to go to this line here, total payable. So to your total tax payable on line 43,500 and write that number down. That's the total that you owe on your earnings for the year. Whether or not you've paid taxes, etc., will determine your balance or refund, but I want you to pick up this number, okay? Those are the only 3 numbers you need off the tax return. You don't have to dive into the return and find your statement of business income and expenses. Okay, so once you have those 3 numbers, we're ready to do some calculations. So I have put some numbers around my example. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gross income minus my net income to come up with expenses. Okay. Why am I doing that? I could dive into the tax return, like I said, and find out my total expenses on a schedule somewhere else, but this is just so much easier. In my example, if I said my gross income was 120 and my net was 70, my expenses are 50. Okay, 120 minus 70 is 50. Then I now have the 3 numbers I need: my gross income, my expenses, and the total tax payable. Simple, right? Next step, I'm going to do some very simple math. Oh, and I added in $25,000 as my tax payable. So I'm just making these numbers up. I want you to be able to see the math with some actual numbers. And if you're following along with your tax return, then just put your own numbers in this spot. So gross income of 120, expenses of 50, total tax payable of 25,000. Simple division. Income tax divided by my gross income. 25,000 divided by 120, these are my sample numbers, gives me 21%. That means that 21 cents of every dollar is needed for income tax. If I just got a commission check for $10,000, I should put $2,100 away into a separate account for my taxes. If I'm doing it by my weekly sales, then 21% of my sales for the week should be put aside for taxes. That's how you're going to work with that number. When I make more money, I put more away. When I make less money, I put less away. But at the end of the year, I will have put away 21% of my gross. Knowing what I pay, like what my tax rate is, doesn't really help me because during the year, I don't know what my net income is, but I'll always know what my gross is. That's an easy number. Most people will be able to keep track of that and find it easily. Whether their books are up to date or not, they can generally find their sales number, their total sales. My expenses, so 50,000 divided by 120, tells me that 42 cents of every dollar, 42%, is needed for expenses, historically. I don't know where that money's going to go, and I don't need to know where it's going to go. It may not be leaving my bank account today, but what I know is that I will need 42% of my sales to cover the expenses that my business historically has. So when I get that $10,000 commission check, $2,100 is going into a spot for my taxes. $4,200 needs to be set aside for expenses. And then if 21% is for income tax and 42% is for expenses, my total of those two is 63. Out of 100, that leaves me 37% to spend personally. And again, when I say spend personally, that's going to be my cash buffer, my pension plan, my reinvestment, my capital upgrades, 37%. So again, you get that $10,000 commission check. $3,700 is available for you to spend and use. The other 63% is already been allocated. It's already needed for taxes and expenses. It's going to be a really simple way for you to effectively manage your money and not get caught short. That concludes this presentation. On my next video, I'm going to show you how to work through bank accounts, how many bank accounts you need, how to manage them efficiently and effectively so your money is in the right spot when you need it, keeping you audit proof and as efficient as possible. If you find this information useful, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of these great tips. Thanks for watching.